Tonight because I had a group of parents and students to come down to the center the other day, and one of their requests was that we have a meeting with parents and students before I made my mind up as to the course of action pertaining to Mr. Cosby. That's what this meeting is about. What we will do is I will just share some of the responses from the internal investigation here with you. After sharing the information from the internal investigation, we will then just open it up for you to share what you need to share. We have microphones in the back at the intersections there. We also have two handhelds up front, so we want to give everyone who wants to speak an opportunity to speak this evening. We're going to try to do this in 2 hours. If we have to go longer, we'll go longer. I think it's important probably to start this particular session like we're going to end it, so everybody will get this really down pat. The action pertaining to Mr. Cosby is not about test scores. That's very important for you to know. Test scores here are not as high as we want them to be. There's no doubt about that. But we've had sporadic test scores that were high or low, depending on the grade, the students, etc. We need to be more consistent. We need to perform higher. But test scores here are just a symptom of a bigger problem. Now, I heard a guy on TV the other night says that we're considering terminating Mr. Cosby because of insubordination. Then somebody else said we were considering terminating him because of test scores. There are 7 basic areas of concern with the performance of Mr. Cosby in this school. 7. And those are the 7 areas that will make or break the decision. I'm here this evening because maybe some of you have some information that we don't have yet. Because we talked to all 67 faculty members, we talked to Mr. Cosby, we didn't talk to the students, we didn't talk to the parents, and that's why it's important to have that tonight, okay? So we will go through this briefly and then we'll open it up for your comments and questions, and I guess the other comment I should make to you tonight is one I made the other day with the group. There is absolutely no doubt that Mr. Cosby is the best principal I've seen with student-principal relations. Unfortunately, there's 3/4 more to his job responsibilities beyond that. So if we were talking about the relationship with the students, it'll be a slam dunk, we wouldn't be here this evening. This is a lot greater than that. Okay, so I know some of you will validate and come and tell me that again and again, and I want you to know I knew it before you said it. I want you to say it because I want you to feel good about it, but that is not questioned tonight. I don't ever remember being around an administrator that was better with his students than Mr. Cosby. So that is not the point. There are 7 other areas that we are in question, and hopefully you will tell us some things that will bear some type of impact on those 7 areas. We had an investigative team to come in to the school to see just what was happening in terms of operations. At the end of their investigation, they wrote a report, and we have taken a few things from their report just to give you some type of flavor of what the staff said during that particular investigation. We don't really have to make interviews public before you take action. against Mr. Cosby, but I think it's important for you to get a flavor of what the team picked up when they were here in the school, okay? The findings were ascertained, like I said, through this process. They interviewed 68 faculty members. I also interviewed Mr. Cosby, and the whole team interviewed Mr. Cosby. They were broken up to interview various staff members. And each one of them had to write reports from their particular interviews, and all those reports came together in one, and then they interviewed Mr. Cosby at the end. Small monthly staff meetings have not been held at Shortridge, and that was one of the mandates we gave to all of the principals this year. And the reason we wanted them to be held was because there were some serious things that they needed to cover, and they were not covering them with a large group. So every teacher has a planning period during the day, and those meetings were supposed to be held during that particular planning period. That's what this is about. We have something called professional learning communities. This is when the principal is supposed to lead and focus staff on instruction, supposed to focus them on how to improve teaching and instruction and student performance. At Shortridge, we've had teachers to do these, and the topics have been all across the board. They haven't been focused, and they have not pertained to the instructional process. They've had no agenda, etc. So this kind of refers to that. And it's very expensive for us to be able to afford this time during the day. And when we don't use this time, we're really misusing some valuable time and money. No administrative meetings for planning, direction, improvement, review of data are concerned. We haven't had an administrative team meeting here since 2010. It's kind of hard to run a school when you don't meet with your administrative team to direct, to review, to plan, to strategize. But based on the feedback, we haven't had those here. We have a complete failure to implement the 8-step plan. The reason, I don't know whether you're aware of this, we have 4 schools that are being taken over by the Department of Education. 3 of those schools are going to end up with Charter School USA. 1 will end up with Ed Power. As a result of that, the Department of Education had asked all of those school districts that had schools on probation to implement the 8-step process for improving instruction and student performance. Every principal was mandated to do and implement the 8-step process. It has not been implemented at all at this school, and most of the teachers don't even know what you're talking about. Okay? That's what that's about. This is no expectation communicated regarding written curriculum, instruction, student achievement, student discipline, administrative duties and responsibilities in all aspects of communication, interpretation of data, and professional development. It means that in so many instances, we've been flying by the seat of our pants, and that's not good. That's not good at all, and that's not unacceptable, quite frankly. Failure to review student test data in order to correct the areas of weakness. This includes district scrimmages, district benchmark tests, and ISTEP Plus results. Really, all this came to a head after the last benchmark test, and the 7th graders, 47% of them passed the math score, the math test. Now, you may think that's not so bad. Well, that same group of kids, when they were in the 6th grade on ISTEP Plus, 81% passed. Now here's the difference. When they were in the 6th grade, there were only 77 6th graders. Now that they're in Seventh graders, there are 150 of them because they picked up that many new people. Why? Because our elementary schools go to sixth grade, and most of these kids don't come to the Magnet High School until they're coming to seventh grade. So you picked up all those people. Nothing wrong with that. The problem is, after we scored that low, it was 2 weeks later, and no one had reviewed that test, broken it down, talked to the teachers about ways to improve the performance of the students. It was like it never happened. That's totally unacceptable. And that's something people have to do. This is a response from the people in Butler University, which is really a partner in this school. And this deals with poor communication and collaboration. Also deals with the fact that the principal never responds to emails, failure to return phone calls, only limited face-to-face meetings. Sometimes people have to camp out in the office just to get a meeting. Principal doesn't read anyone's messages. Now, this probably has come up just numerous times. This is not a practice that's acceptable. This is not the first time that we've gone through some of this. This is failure of principal leadership in implementing the Butler Partnership, failure to follow through on numerous projects, still no written pacing guides for social studies. Mr. Cosby wanted to do something differently that we allowed him to do, and that is he wanted to teach history from the present back to the past. He thought that because we did project-based learning, he had this institute called the Buck Institute, that they could really help students to learn history better. Now, because we have a great deal of confidence in what he was trying to do, he was the only school that we allowed to do that. When we allowed that to happen, we knew that the students would not do well on the history test because they were covering different materials. We didn't hold that against anyone, okay? So we knew that. But here's the thing. Most people only do reverse history when they're at the university. Because if you're going to learn about democracy and law and that form of government, you really start back with the Greeks and Athens and all of that. Because you really start from getting the foundation building up. We allow Mr. Cosby to build a house from the roof to the ground. You may say that's impossible because the roof won't stay up. Well, I don't think anything is impossible when you have a guy who's driven to do something a certain way and he has a rationale. So we knew that on the district benchmarks for social studies, you wasn't going to do as well because of that slip. So that has not been a concern with us, but it was a concern with the people at Butler who were working in that particular relationship, and what they needed was a written pacing guide so they could see how it was paced when it was reversed. They never got that. That's another Butler response. Butler wants to do teaching. We have what we call a teaching practicum here for kids who are freshmen in the College of Education, and they come here and they go to classes to see effective teaching. Butler really is thinking about pulling the teaching practicum program out of here because there are some bad classes they've seen that were unruly, where kids were running around the class, they were out of control. Administrators wasn't visible, wasn't present. They complained about this. The only thing that they were impressed with, they said that the band classes were phenomenal. They said it was the best teaching. And these are kids who are not from urban areas, but they say it's the best teaching they've ever seen in the band classes. Well, we gotta know that if you see the improvement of the band on the field, how they play, you know things are going on there. But we still got to make a decision on whether or not we're going to let Butler pull the practicum out.